Well, hi, everybody. This is another Osta update on HB 3054. I'm Bill Bateman, part of the team here at Osta, and we have a special guest today, another of our board members, Rochelle Love Elder. Thank you, Rochelle, for coming in. I know how busy you are, and I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Bill.
One of the things that's getting quite a bit of confusion on the bill, and we thought having someone kind of talk you through it would be useful. First of all, what are the current rent limits for people who may not understand it? And what are the proposed changes? And how might that affect us both on a short term and long term?
Well, the current law states that it's 7% annual increases with the plus CPI, which caps at 10%. Most people have been experiencing this 10% increase every year, and rent has over doubled in the last 5 years. And people on Social Security are having a hard time keeping up. So OSTA helped to draft a bill that would allow to lower that annual rent increase down to CPI only, was what our hopes were. And I think everybody's a little dismayed that we didn't get exactly that, but we got it almost cut in half. So the proposed amendments for HB 3054 would be 6% flat annual increase, no basis on CPI at all,
So
which
that's
might.
that's a flat cap then. That's not plus a little. That's just a flat number.
It is. It's a flat number, which might be a good thing considering the economy right now. We don't know where CPI is going, so it might end up to our benefit more than we think. So 6%, that's almost half of what people are paying now. That's not a bad cut. Um, yeah, so that's where we're at with the annual rent increases.
Okay. And there was a provision kind of tacked on to that, that every 5 years, if I have it correctly, the landlord could go up to 12% for maintenance, for emergency or unscheduled maintenance. And it had to have a vote of the tenants and an approval. And there were supposed to be some guardrails put on it so they didn't just put on the increase, then we never saw it. But there's been quite a bit of back and forth on that. I personally hate it, but I don't run the circus. I know there's some people very much in favor of it. Can you explain a little bit about what that 12% does and what that looks like over a long term as how it looks to the rent?
For sure. One of the biggest issues that the landlords brought up at our hearing in Salem was that they have all these expenses for infrastructure that they have to pay for, and with a CPI only increase, it would be impossible to do that. So this is the proposed, middle ground. It kind of feels like to us, the six of one and half a dozen of the other, but it actually still, even if tenants voted on the 5% increase or the 12% increase every 5 years, if tenants voted on that over a 10-year period, it still ends up being cheaper than the current 10%. So the numbers look a little bit like this. If you had the 10% annual increase, your rent would go from being $1,000, starting at $1,000, and would end up at, in 10 years, $2,500. It would be an increase of a total of, drum roll, please. It would be a total increase of 159% over a 10-year period.
And that's because of compounding.
Yes.
So how would those numbers look over a 10-year period, comparing the two types of increases?
So in scenario one, with a 6% annual increase and a 12% increase every 5 years, that's if the tenants voted on it, we would be looking at an 89% increase in rent over a 10-year period. And then with the 10% annual increase, we would be looking at a 159% increase over a 10-year period. So
Ooh,
even with the 12% increase, it's still cheaper than current.
okay. I think one of the big concerns seems to be putting some guardrails or some controls on the use of the 12% because many parks claim maintenance is not happening now with the 10% rate increase. And this would just be a case for not delaying until this 12% came in, and then big ticket items would get rolled through. The big concern is, would they get done? What kind of teeth do we have? Because most of the Oregon statutes have absolutely no teeth. when it comes to landlords not following the rules.
Yeah, well, even with the ones with teeth, it still requires a tenant to take the landlord to court to sue them for it. So, and that wouldn't be any different here. Whatever teeth they do put on it is still going to require the tenant to take the landlord to court to, or the whole park to take the landlord to court to be able to enact those teeth, I guess. So we're not really sure what exactly they're going to put on it. It'd probably be a refund of some sort of the money that was given. My biggest fear, I think, is that landlords will use it as an excuse to blame the tenants if they don't vote in for the infrastructure improvement 12% increase, that it's their fault that they're not getting the infrastructure improvement that they need. But it's really their job to do it anyway. So hopefully we'll have some good news on what type of teeth they're going to add on here. And I think still, even with we didn't that's not getting exactly what we're wanting out of this. Almost half of what we're expecting to experience in rent increases is better than nothing. So
Exactly.
it's a good
And
starting
I
place.
and I know maintenance is something that should happen all the time. This 12% is for extraordinary maintenance, like a power transformer blows out or there needs to be a sewage line replaced, not just everyday trimming the trees and patching the streets. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, this is for large infrastructure improvements. And luckily, there are some grants out there that will help parks pay for stuff like that. So it's possible that they'll still have the means to do these infrastructure repairs with or without the 12% increase, because I know most tenants aren't going to vote on that. So,
Well, okay, today is the second of April. I know tomorrow is kind of a key day on the bill. In talking with John, he indicated that tomorrow is the day they had to make some sort of decision and try and vote and get it out of committee. It's a long road ahead of us. As I understand, this is going to, if we get it active in the House, then it has to go to the Senate where this whole thing can start again with amendments and modifications.
yeah, I don't know how long exactly we're expecting it to be. Even after that, it will take another 18 months, I believe, for it to even be
Yeah, if
put in
passed,
law.
it's going to kick in, I believe, in 27.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
That's
I mean, our hearts go out to people that are already experiencing, evictions or not being able to meet their rent. And I wish there was a faster, a better way of dealing with all of this. And, we'll keep doing research into funding possibilities or grants that are available to the public that they might be able to take advantage of. But
outstanding. And one thing I know I've brought up on every podcast and every place I'm printing, a lot of the owners, a lot of the big corporations are saying, oh, we got all these costs, and the residents are saying, we're not seeing any work. I challenge them, open your books. When I go to the bank and I ask for some money, they say, well, Bill, what do you got? What are you spending on? Are you spending wisely? Are you saving wisely? What do your books look like? What are you spending now in maintenance? You're getting these 10% increases. Are they going to park maintenance or are they going to board member profits?
well, some of that information is available when you're looking at let's see, Frontier Mobile Village, for instance, they're for sale online. So when you look at listings of manufactured home parks online, it shows you things about their net operating income. And that's the income after expenses. So that will tell you how much money they're actually pulling in. It doesn't include taxes, though, and it doesn't include loans, I believe. But that was something a landlord told me anyway. But after expenses, so their regular maintenance costs are part of that, and so you'll see how much profit they're really pulling in.
Good. I'd like to take a look at that. Thank you. That's good information. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share about the topic? I know we just want to give a little bite size, like a pizza. You can eat a whole pizza, but you got to go a slice at a time.
Well, there is some talk about the one of the amendments to the bill being that it's only for parks with 30 or more units, and some people are balking about that because they live in smaller parks. But one thing that they've found was that the mom and pop parks, the ones who are treating their tenants right, tend to be the smaller parks. Investment firms are not that interested in larger parks or smaller parks; they want the big ones. So we're able to leave those mom and pop ones out of this to where they can still raise the rent like they need to be able to afford to keep up with rising costs because they haven't been raising their rent for a long time. We don't want to hurt those little guys and put them out of business.
No, we do not. They're
So
not the
this,
enemy.
and we can't make everybody happy, but this is the best middle ground we could find. So
Very good. Well, I understand that we still have weeks to go. I don't want people to not write letters. I know if you are in one of the districts in the House of Representatives, there were one or two reps that were Democrats that were on the fence or actually against this. And this bill has gone across party lines, Democrat and Republican, with the Republicans, as I'm understanding it, against it because they're more big business oriented. Uh, if you're in one of those districts, there's absolutely no reason. I know both, I think you and I have been making calls to both people in the parks and to the actual representatives uh, to get them in, at least to listen to another side of the story. So there's lots
yeah,
of times to stay active, to write a letter, to make a phone call, to show up at a meeting.
yeah. So April Dobson was one of those Democrats that we needed to get support. We needed her to get on board with this. So we're hoping that people that are in her district area, they will call her, email her, write a letter as soon as possible because this goes to vote. You said tomorrow, right?
Right, tomorrow. She's up
Yep.
in Clackamas, as I understand. Clackamas County area, is that correct?
Yeah, Clackamas County. And it's I think 97006, 97005, something like that. 970015 or 97015, those area codes. So, and if you're in Clackamas and near Happy Valley, those are the areas that we're needing to get on the horn and call her.
Okay, I will add her phone number at the state capitol to the login for the chat or for the podcast here. Thank you. Thank you, Rochelle, for coming in. I appreciate your time. Numbers are not my strong point either. So thank you and your spreadsheet for helping us out.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
The preceding program was a presentation of Retired Guy Productions.